Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Deji Badimasi. Now, there was pandemonium in Nigeria's National Assembly today as security agents fired tear gas in an attempt to block the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, from entering the complex. Mr. Tambuwal has summoned an emergency session of the House to debate and vote on President Jonathan's request for an extension of the emergency rule on the northeastern states of Borno, Yobe and Adamawa, ravaged by the Boko Haram insurgency. Some lawmakers who accompanied Tambuwal protested the treatment meted out to the Speaker. They scaled over the gate of the Assembly to gain entry into the premises. After some time, Tambuwal forcefully made his way into the Assembly complex. Now, after so much argument, Mr. Tambuwal, of course, eventually gained access, and despite the police hurling tear gas at them, the lawmakers marched into the chamber for their sitting. Now, just take a listen to some of the sound bites we brought from that event.
They do this kind of thing. Huh? See him now. Have you seen him? See him there.
Because now, by this time, they had actually scaled the fence, and you have some of the lawmakers there actually protecting the Speaker of the House, Aminu Tambuwal, right there in the midst of the lawmakers being protected. So in spite of the tear gas being fired by the policemen, the lawmakers defied that, and they continued to march, and they eventually marched into the chamber. Now, this is a very moment they marched right into the House, and before long, you would find them now in the chamber of the National Assembly. There, they make their entry into the chamber of the House of Representatives. We call it the Green Chamber in this country. There you have the lawmakers, all of them going into the Green Chamber. That is where the plenary session is usually held. That's where the lawmakers actually have their sittings. As I'm talking about lawmakers now of the lower parliament, that's the House of Representatives. There you have the Speaker taking his seat, and the lawmakers actually getting ready for the day's sitting. Our Senate President David Mark and several other lawmakers were also delayed for hours at the gate before they finally entered the Assembly complex as well. Following the pandemonium, the Senate President ordered that the National Assembly complex be shut down till next Tuesday. Take a listen now to what this lawmaker said.
If that extension of emergency must be made, it must include the FCT, where the legislature, where the sovereignty of the people reside, is being tear-gassed. How many people will they kill? Oh? How many people will they kill? Oh?
Meanwhile, the lower house of parliament has rejected the president's request to extend the state of emergency imposed in the three northeastern states to crush Boko Haram. President Goodluck Jonathan on Tuesday asked lawmakers in the lower house and Senate to approve an extension of the 18-month emergency rule in three northeastern states, Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. He said the emergency was needed to sustain the pressure against Boko Haram. But opposition lawmakers in both chambers have described the emergency rule policy as a failure, with Boko Haram making massive gains since May last year. House spokesperson Zachary Mohammed said the lower house have turned down the request for the extension of the emergency after a closed-door session, instead asking the president to invoke his powers as contained in Section 8 of the Constitution to deploy troops to any troubled spot in the country. The Senate is still divided over the issue as it is yet to take a decision on it. President Jonathan first imposed emergency rule on the 3 states May 14, 2013. This will be the time the state of emergency now would have been extended. So we'll wait and see what actually the Senate and the House of Representatives, the Senate, I should say, decides next week. Now, the Nigerian police has defended its action at the lower parliament earlier when it fired tear gas at the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, and other lawmakers, and tried to prevent them from sitting to debate a bill on the extension of the state of emergency in some northeastern states. Spokesperson of the force, Emmanuel Ojukwu, said the police acted after receiving intelligence information that hoodlums will invade the National Assembly premises. He said the police cordoned the area and began screening all members and visitors in the premises before being interrupted by the arrival of the Speaker and his entourage, who, it says, evaded due process. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, has been summoned by the lawmakers over the commotion which ensued in the National Assembly earlier today. The Nigerian presidency has been reacting to the pandemonium in the National Assembly complex as well. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Donyo Kukwe, said the action of the police was very much in order. He said the Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, was only carrying out his constitutional functions in his capacity as the #1 police officer to protect lives and property. Kukwe denied the presidency had anything to do with the crisis, saying the head of the police did not need any instruction from the presidency to carry out what he calls his lawful duties. Still on today's National Assembly invasion, Nigeria's main opposition party, the All Progressives Congress, and 2 of its leading members, Muhammadu Buhari and the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, have condemned the action of the police. National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Lai Mohammed, in a statement condemned the use of tear gas canisters to disperse lawmakers who forced their way into the National Assembly complex. The APC actually accused President Goodluck Jonathan of political desperation and sabotaging of the war against Boko Haram, all in his bid to retain power. Speaking about the incident, former head of state and presidential aspirant General Muhammadu Buhari told reporters, quote, if it is true, then the House of Representatives has been attacked and the Speaker shot at. Then those, if it's true actually that he's been attacked and shot at, then those who are supposed to be protecting the Constitution are subverting it. End of quote. I must add that Buhari actually made this statement shortly before it was confirmed that the policemen had actually invaded the National Assembly. Now, Audu Ogbe, a one-time national chairman of the PDP, condemned the assault on the legislative arm of government. He described it as lawlessness, saying when the police begin to interpret the Constitution and bully a democratic institution that is actually the beginning of anarchy. Also condemning the invasion was former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who slammed the crude method used by the police and the Jonathan administration, according to him, in harassing and humiliating perceived political enemies. He said, quote, the siege mentality of the Jonathan administration poses grave threat to Nigeria's democracy, the rule of law, and the separation of powers as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution. Now, you may consider this bizarre, but it has happened in Nigeria before. 7 members of the Ekiti State House of Assembly have impeached the Speaker of the Assembly, Adewale Omeri. In Omeri's place, the lawmakers who are PDP members elected Delo Olugbemi as the new Speaker. The Deputy Speaker was also impeached and replaced. Incidentally, the lawmakers and 3 unidentified persons were the same set of lawmakers actually that sat at the floor of the Assembly Monday to approve the 3 commissioner nominees sent to the House by the governor, Ayo Fayoshi. The motion for the impeachment of the speaker was moved by Honorable Samuel Ajibola, representing Ekiti East constituency. Now, here's what the lawmakers said after the controversial impeachment process.
The speaker absconded from office without official notice. The speaker left on his own, playing a role of partisan, which that is not the oath of allegiance he has for the people of Ekiti State. The speaker left Ekiti State. The speaker left Ekiti State to Lagos. Is he legislating in Lagos? What is his function in Lagos? When his work here in Ekiti State is lying low.
So what have you done?
The speaker has been impeached.
All right, sir.
The deputy speaker has been impeached.
On what grounds?
They have been impeached on the ground that one, they left their official responsibility without an official notice. When we come to the issue of figure, not figure, House of Assembly has their own culture. We have our own law. We have the way we operate. We have the way we run things. It is not my duty to tell you figure. It is an administrative function. And you cannot allow me to, as a public servant, to go and be doing the duty of an administrator. That is not my own duty.
Well, that is actually absurd. 7 lawmakers having precedence or powers over 19, because with the speaker, you have 19 lawmakers. So you have 7 lawmakers sitting down in a house of 26 lawmakers to impeach the speaker and the deputy speaker. Nobody needs to tell you this is unconstitutional. But then it happens in Nigeria, because we've actually seen a situation in this country where 6 lawmakers, or 4 lawmakers, I should say, actually impeached and removed the governor. It's really very much in bad taste that this will be happening in a country like Nigeria that calls itself a democracy. We'll just wait and see what happens. But then I must add that the 19 lawmakers and the speaker have actually said they're still very much in charge. The speaker has come out to say he still remains the speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, and that the 7 lawmakers do not have the required 2/3 majority to impeach him, because actually it's clearly stated in the Constitution that to remove the speaker of a House of Assembly, you need 2/3 majority. And for God's sake, 2/3 of 26 cannot be 7. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Let's turn our attention now to other stories. President Goodluck Jonathan Thursday swore in the new Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Mohammed, the 14th indigenous CJN, took over from Justice Aloma Mukhtar, who retired at the statutory age of 70. Shortly after his inauguration, the new CJN was conferred with the national honor, the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. He promised to build on the foundations laid by his predecessors in office, especially the immediate one. Former head of state and leading presidential aspirant of Nigeria's main opposition, All Progressives Congress APC, Muhammadu Buhari, says he plans to raise the sum of 7 billion naira from his supporters for his presidential campaign. He has set an initiative to raise 100 naira each from an estimated 70 million of his supporters and admirers across the country. Addressing a group of young supporters under the aegis of Buhari Support Organization, the former head of state said he decided to buy into the initiative because of the inbuilt mechanism for ensuring accountability and transparency in its operations. We'll take a short break here. When we come back, we'll be looking at other stories. Don't go away. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. The coroner investigating the cause of the collapse of a building belonging to the Synagogue Church of All Nations in Lagos has threatened to arrest the owner of the church, Prophet Temitope Joshua, if he failed to appear before him to testify as a witness. TB Joshua had been summoned to testify before the coroner on several occasions, but he did not show up, with his lawyers arguing that he had not been formally served a summon. 116 persons died when the building collapsed on September 12th. Most of those who died were South Africans that were visiting the church at the time. Prophet Joshua blames the collapse of the building on an aircraft which flew over the building shortly before it collapsed, but authorities in Lagos have dismissed that claim. Scheduled for appearance on Thursday before the coroner were the Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Lagos State Ministry of Works, the founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, Prophet TB Joshua, and the contractor that built the failed structure. However, the founder of the church and the contractor of the collapsed building failed to appear before the coroner. Following their decision not to show up, the coroner threatened he was going to issue an arrest warrant against both of them if they did not appear on Friday. TB Joshua's lawyer have now filed a case before a high court in the state challenging the jurisdiction of the coroner to hold the inquest and to issue summons to witnesses. Wonder why this prophet doesn't want to appear before the coroner. Well, we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. Now, children have been advised on the importance of reading to enhance their growth and development. A group which goes by the name Vateka Nigeria brought together about 100 school pupils today in Lagos to get them to imbibe effective reading culture through its project scheme, Let's Read Africa. TV360's Chidima Chikezie reports.
As early as 9 a.m., these children had converged in this hall. Students from different primary and secondary schools across Lagos.
Who can tell me who a CEO is among the students?
The aim is to encourage reading culture among the school pupils by way of getting them to grasp knowledge wherever it could be found, both in the libraries and internet sources.
There is a lot of gain in reading. If you begin to read early in life, by the time you grow up, wherever you are in any part of the world, you will be a top-class person. When you learn to read, when you are, somebody else is still talking. When you start to learn to read when you are very young, you will grow up with it, and you will like nothing better than reading. Do you understand what I'm talking about? You will like nothing better than reading. You will even forget about watching all these Cartoon Network or whatever.
But the event was not just about the speeches.
I'm singing. You are singing.
The children were also engaged in a wide range of activities, avenues to showcase their talents.
Some fact about schools, wow, these are scientists, good.
There were jokes and dance. And singing.
I give myself away so you can.
The organizers say the event is their own way of inspiring the young ones that they can attain any height in life by imbibing essential reading habits.
Today's Universal Children's Day, and the theme for the Universal Children's Day is Stop Violence Against Children. I just want to talk a little about this. The United Nations have made a proclamation, they've made a pledge that children would not be violated, their rights will not be violated. Many times children face abuse. Many times children that are supposed to be in school, we find them on the road. Many times some children even face sexual abuse. They have uncles or aunties at home that molest them. And somehow they're not even able to talk about it. I want to encourage you all, if you have any form of abuse, any type of abuse, if it is a way, if you have a neighbor that is not going to school just because he needs to fetch water or he needs to be somewhere instead of school, you can always report that. In fact, you can report it to Lagos State. You can report it. That's one of the reasons why we have the Google machine. You can report it to an adult.
The bottom line is to inspire these kids for excellence, is to make them be the best they can be so that they can contribute meaningfully to the success of this country. I am a librarian by profession, and I have passion for reading. I made a first class because I am an avid reader, and I want to inspire every child to be able to read.
And as for the kids, this is what some of them had to say.
Today I learned about the importance of reading. I also learned how we should develop the culture of reading. Reading, it's very important. It has created a lot of people. It has created good future for the people. And if we in Africa can imbibe that culture of reading, we could be very great people.
Let's Read Africa was launched in Lagos in July 2014 to revive the dying reading culture among Nigerians. More of these gatherings undoubtedly may just be the game changer the society needs to ignite that passion of reading among the young ones. Chidinma Chikezi, TV360, Lagos.
To be candid, it's a wonderful initiative, anything at all, to make us begin to read, because that reading culture is actually dying in Nigeria and we just need to revive it. Wonderful initiative. Must commend the organizers for organizing this, and let's just hope they sustain it. Now, the Fiscal Responsibility Commission has kicked against the proposal to set the 2015 budget benchmark for crude oil at $73 per barrel following the recent drop in oil price. Addressing a press conference in Abuja Thursday, acting chairman of FRC, Victor Morocco, said the federal government should be more realistic and set the benchmark at $60 per barrel. Morocco said instead of adopting the moving average as a method for arriving at the benchmark, the federal government should consider adopting an approach that determines savings accruables to excess crude account. He also advised the 3 tiers of government against depleting savings that had accrued in the excess crude account, adding that the Times called for more savings rather than sharing what had been saved in the past. China and Nigeria have signed an official construction contract to build a railway along the African country's coast. China Railway Construction Corporation Limited Thursday confirmed the deal, adding that the agreement, which is worth over $11.97 billion, is China's single largest overseas contract project. The coastal 22-stop railway, which will stretch for 1,402 kilometers, will link Nigeria's economic capital, Lagos, in the west with Calabar in the east. Trains will travel at a top speed of 120 kilometers per hour, according to the China Construction Company. Now, the coastal railway project will adopt Chinese technological standards and result in equipment exports worth about $4 billion, such as construction, machinery, trains, and steel products. Turning to the foreign scene now, a U.S. gunman has been killed after shooting 3 students at the Florida State University. Authorities said Thursday the yet-to-be-identified shooter was killed by the university's police at the campus library as hundreds of students studying inside the library fled and took cover in panic. He was shot after he refused to drop his weapon and opened fire at the campus officers, authorities said. 2 of the shooting victims were taken to the hospital. One was in critical condition, the other was stable, the hospital said. The condition of the 3rd victim, or where that person was taken, remains unknown. Florida State is one of the top research universities in the nation. It has about 40,000 students spread out in various campuses in the city. To sports now, the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has said it takes full responsibility for the Super Eagles' failure to qualify for the 2015 African Cup of Nations in Equatorial Guinea. The African champions finished 3rd in Group A following Wednesday's 2-2 draw with visiting team South Africa in Uyo. NFF President Amaju Pinnick said it was a time for sober reflection rather than looking for people to blame for the loss. Nigeria suffered a troubled qualification campaign where they not only struggled with form on the pitch but also were affected by deep divisions within the NFF, while coach Stephen Keshi was in and out of the job. Well, it's a sad one for Nigeria. I feel so pained that we're not going to be at Equatorial Guinea. It's really painful. We'll just wait and see what happens next. But I guess it's time to rebuild our football, and it's time to just get serious. Unfortunately, we're not going to be at Equatorial Guinea. For all the teams that have qualified, we can only wish them the best of luck. We'll wait until January, the end of January, I should say, to see who would be the next African champion. That's it on News Now. We thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again shortly.